So, Burning Man 2023.
Muddy Man.
Yeah.
2023.
I've heard flood your burn, fuck your burn, mud man,
Mud Man.
burning mud,
Raining Man.
drowning man,
Water
All
woman.
water woman.
All of the
All
above.
of them. Yeah.
So, this is your second burn.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
2018 was the first one.
Pull this about a fist away.
Fist away?
Yeah.
I think you told me pull it in closer.
Well, yeah, then a fist? You don't need any closer. Or you have to speak up. One of the two.
One of the two. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this better?
That's good.
Okay, cool.
yeah, so
2018.
So
Yeah.
you went 2018 and then skipped a few.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, right
I mean, especially with like COVID.
Yeah,
And then the
Yeah,
Renegade
that's
burn.
right.
It didn't happen.
Didn't
for like
happen in
2
2020 or 21, did
yeah.
it?
Mm-hmm. And there was the Renegade burn in like 21, but that was just like people
Okay.
setting up on their own, no art, and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Just
so.
camping.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
In the desert, Black Rock City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you went in 2018, did you do it the same as this year? Like no van, no RV. Like
yeah,
okay,
got the Burner Express in.
Okay.
That I love that year. Like nothing compares to your first year, and I'm sure you guys can attest to that as well. Coming up, but gosh, it was so fun for me. For like my 2018 adventure I was in Bali. And it was like the beginning of August. And I just remember talking to friends that were going. And I just said naively, like, I want to go. And they were just like, it's not that easy. And at that time, it wasn't. It was very hard to get tickets. And I was just kind of feeling like...
Different than now? Because
kind of, yeah. Just because it was the height of like people going. It was just a lot of people just trying to not get scammed as well. So... I just remember I was already heading back to the States. So I was like, oh, no big deal. Like, if I don't end up going, then I'll just hang out in SF and just have a good time there. And then I got the Burner Express ticket in, and I didn't realize at the time, but you needed a valid ticket to get on the bus itself. So I didn't have a valid ticket yet. So this was for Tuesday morning. And then by the time I got into... I think SF, it was like Friday or Saturday. So I only had like a couple days. And then lo and behold, through friends, I found a ticket. They only gave it to me because I was in SF. And then I had to get like 2 days to get everything together for myself. So it was one of those things where people were just like, you can't do it in like 2 weeks. You can't prepare. I'm like, you can. You just have to like lower your expectations a bit.
explain the Burner Express.
The Burn Express is just a way for people to get there without having to get an RV or car, and then like also saving on emissions and gas, and so it talks, and they always like remind you like how much you're helping the environment by just taking the Burner Express. And they have it's pretty good. They have it set out to where like the schedules are really good, and even this year getting us out, oh my gosh, they did so well.
Sunday morning, right?
Yep.
I think we passed a bunch of the buses coming in.
for sure
We
we
passed
did.
like 5 of them on our way
and
out.
they have their own like lane, so like that helps too coming in and out, is that you don't have to wait in the line, you go straight to the front. So that's pretty cool. But like that whole Sunday morning there was so much talk even on the Burner radio saying that they weren't running and that they were just telling people not to do it. And the amount of people that when I was walking towards the bus depot, like where they were telling us to meet to check in, they were saying like, don't go, it's not happening. Like, and everybody was trying to like pull us back, but everybody that was heading there was wanting to go home. So they were just like, I'm gonna suss it out myself.
Yeah.
And thankfully within that 30 minutes, that team figured it out, and they were just like, how do we get all these people to the pavement, basically, because the buses can't come onto the mud floor, basically. So they were like, let them walk. And that was so smart because they knew we would walk. Like,
Of course you would.
Yeah. It was like that day alone, 10 miles.
Oh,
but have you guys looked at your walk? But even the whole entire time at Burning Man, we
you're so
walked
active.
So much.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
didn't.
God,
I didn't
walked a
track any
marathon.
metrics of it, but like
I just looked
know
at my health app real quick.
The first night we pedaled around for 5.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To super sore asses the next day.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't have any saddle time at all. So I woke up the next morning and my crotch was destroyed. I was like, oh no, because I didn't feel myself getting sore.
Yeah,
Obviously.
no, not at all.
Just pedaling around like an idiot with a big old grin on my face. And I woke up the next morning, I'm like, oh God, what have I done?
So how long is the ride from San Francisco on a tour bus completely packed?
San Francisco is, that was my first burn. So that was, I think, 5 or 7 hours. I can't remember.
That's better than I expected.
Yeah. And then the Reno one was 2 hours.
All right.
Super chill, honestly.
And they just dump you out at the airport.
Yep.
In a cloud of dust.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. People did. Yeah. The airport hotels were like not enjoying our dust. Even the Uber drivers were very concerned.
Sure.
Yeah. We're like, it's just dirt. Yeah.
So do you just pack up everything like in a
They
day,
give you
like
2
in a
bags.
multi-day like hike pack for?
Yeah, pretty much.
for
Or
that
like
scenario?
anything that can fit, like you think will work for you. I think the first year I took like a hockey bag and that worked out. I didn't have to carry it like that far, so it was fine to like carry it to just like from the Uber car to to the bus. But if I would have had to lug that thing in the airport, that would have been a lot harder for me. But so this time I just went with my luggage, like roller bags. It was fine.
So what about food or any of that like for a week?
I think it just depends on how you're like set up. If you're doing it alone, going to REI and getting those like meal prep, just like mixing it up with the water, like, expectation super low. Like you can find so much food that you don't have to cook necessarily, right?
Yeah.
So, and then this year I did the same thing just because I was just like, I'm only going to be there for 3 days. Like, what do I really need besides like some tuna packets and like granola bars? I regretted it at the end, but
Yeah. I mean, you could go without any food.
You could. Yeah. Just at least you're like staying hydrated. That's like really that's like the most important thing. But then there's like the plethora of camps that are feeding people.
Right.
So like if you have that list as well and knowing what time they're serving food and like that could also be how you get food in. And then the camps, everybody's sharing, everybody's giving. I'm sure you guys felt that too, like people giving food out or anything like that. So
Yeah, we showed up we could have done 10 days. We
That's
had
awesome.
so
Yeah.
much food. Plus, it's a bit of an appetite suppressant as far as supplementation goes on the playa.
ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just catch people up because I know that we've got people listening that have information about Burning Man, and then there's people who have zero concept whatsoever about it. How would you describe it, right? Because like it's not a music festival.
Yeah. This is such a question I get all the time because like the amount of people like I'll say I just went to Burning Man. And they're like, what is that?
Right.
Like this like mystical like thing.
Right.
And then you forget when you're in the community and you're just engulfed in it and you're around it and you're surrounded by it. You're like, what do you mean you don't know what Burning Man is? I've always called it a reunion. Like, yeah. And I know like on their like, when they kind of have their spiel about what Burning Man is, it's like, it's a cultural movement because it is literally a city built up out of nowhere. And it's where people reside and live for a week. Right. So that's the idea. But yeah, I call it a reunion because it's like you see your friends, you have activities. There's something going on. So that's what usually I end up kind of catering to like what I'm saying around it.
I found it to be such an interactive adventure.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I was going to ask what would you guys call it now?
I love it's as much of an art show and like an interactive art experience as it is anything else. I would like put that as like my bottom tier, and then it has everything else. But the bottom tier of it is an interactive art experiment.
Ooh, I like that.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the sharing economy there is really rad. The giving economy is really cool. So there's no money spent on Playa other than ice.
Yep.
Right. So you can buy ice. Outside of that, it's also not a barter system. It's a give. Right. It's all a gifted society. And I think it's beautiful and amazing and it works incredibly well until scarcity shows up.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I think that's the truth.
That's how I took it. What would you say?
I mean, I think you nailed it. Plus camping. Like, I think that a lot of people, what they see mostly on social media is like the higher end of how this could look, which is like very glamorous and all these things, when like in reality that's such a small percentage of it. Like a lot of people are in tents or sleeping in the back of their cars. So, I mean, you are going to be uncomfortable. You are going to be dirty. It is work to get there, physically, and also just getting the tickets. And I always start off with telling everyone, like, it's a city, like you said, like we have a street address and a neighborhood. Like that's the scale we're talking about. That first night when we rode out onto the playa, like I felt like I had a pretty good idea of what to expect. Come on. Then you ride out there and your brain is melted. Like it's more than you can comprehend. It just looks like a living, breathing entity that's fully mobile, and this party that just expands into infinity. Because at night, like you can't see the edges.
Can't see,
And even when you're in deep playa, it looks like there's even more further. So it's so hard to describe. I kept telling everyone, like, words don't do this place justice.
Is there anything
100%.
that you've experienced before of like that scale that stops you in your tracks like that?
The Grand Canyon, probably some views that we've had in Patagonia and Iceland. So outside of like Mother Nature doing her
That's
thing.
What I was gonna say. Yeah. No.
Like I
so
haven't
true,
got
right?
that like extreme sense of wonderment and awe from something that was created by people.
Ooh, beautifully put.
Yeah.
Like,
Like Matt and I both had to just pause and like stop riding our bikes, and we're like, I just need a moment to try to take this all in.
I like know because I know, but like for people listening, it's like, yeah, you can't describe it. And I think that's part of the reason why like we probably don't like. I don't even talk about it that much without outside of like people that already been there. And you say like when someone's how was Burning Man, you're like good. Like, and, then, and that's kind of the end of it. And you like, cause you know that it's hard to explain and you want to. And I think that's why people have that integration back in and they have that decompressing time to like reintegrate back into default world. And that's why those words exist, because people have it's like, oh, okay, here we go, just going back to normal life again. And then it's like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like
we felt that extremely, very much so. I mean, luckily we took 4 days getting back to St. Louis. We drove. So there was plenty of time to think about it and discuss it. And the whole, 5 days that we were there on the playa just felt like a dream, because we were immediately thrown into the party, and then we immediately left quick in a rush because there was no rain coming down. So like the whole thing felt like just kind of very short and almost like, whoa, was that real? Like, did we really spend our week that way? And then when we got home, we walk into our house and I'm like, oh, we have clean floors and walls and air conditioning. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so much. Like, what abundance we're living in.
Yeah.
It's so real.
Yeah, it's I mean, even the couple people in our group who'd been before were in front of us, leading us out to the playa, like on bikes. And
cool.
They were, 100 yards ahead of us or so, and they stopped because they they're gonna freak out.
Give you appropriate time to freak out.
And fully just hit like Esplanade, which is like this main road that runs in front of Black Rock City, between that and where all the art installations are. And so hitting that, like kind of the main drag, right? That's Main Street if there is one. And I don't know what Esplanade actually means.
I think they just have names.
It's probably Main Street.
Because I lived on
Spanish,
Dodgeball.
right?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know. My street was named Dodgeball.
Oh.
So it's
D.
D.
I don't even
Yeah.
know.
We were on H.
But I don't even know what H was.
I forgot. They have it on the map.
Halibut.
Yeah, it was. But it's basically it's just name. Like they just something to have a reference. Yeah.
But our friends gave us appropriate time to freak
adjust.
out. Also,
That's so good.
All you can think about is you wanting to bring your other friends just to see their faces in that instant.
Yeah.
Like I want to see all my friends also get mind blown.
I think of actually the person, like, because someone comes to mind, right? When you're like, oh, I wish they could see this, or one day they will. I actually think of my boss, because he's super creative as it is. And I think like when someone that's already super creative and diving into those modalities of just like growing, that going to something like Burning Man will even just inspire them more and open up like another portal in their brain to just like do more with whatever they have already working with. So like, I'm just like, I can see it.
I mean, it's an artist or creative's heaven.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
yeah. It's like if you have a writer's block or something happening in your life that you need like a spark, it's like that could be it.
And so they have within Black Rock City, they have like official camps, and then they have unofficial camps.
Yes.
And you've done official camps.
Two, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So both times.
Both times, yeah, but not. The first time was not. It was more on accident. Like I was supposed to stay with another friend, and him and I were just gonna camp together, and he was part of a camp, but because there was some kind of miscommunication, it didn't work out. And then I just went to like the next address I knew a friend was at, and then I just figured I just want to camp next to someone. I don't need like to be part of their camp. I just didn't want to be alone my first time. Yeah. Found them, and I knew them from Bali. It was the friends I had the conversation with about like wanting to go. And they took me in, and then all of a sudden I was like taken care of. I was given a bike, food, like just abundance of resources, and I had the like best first experience. Like it was just, like magically seamless. Everything that happened, like from me getting there, from the just being on the playa alone and then leaving. Like,
how many days did you do the first time?
Year, Tuesday through Sunday. So
okay,
I actually
so
never,
and
I never even got to see the temple burn.
Right.
Like even obviously this time they've been around as well. Yeah, so that's something that's on my like.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. The burns, all of it.
Yeah, I'd like to ride it out for the full go.
Yeah.
I don't see, well, so like official camps. There's you're providing a service to the community.
Yes.
Right? Like
exactly.
an official service to the community, right? Is that what I kind of get from it? And so what did you guys do?
The camp I was with is called Pandora's Lounge and bike fix it shop. So they fix bikes.
Okay.
So essential, yes, an essential service. And like we had so many people come through, and like this is actually a just group of people that also do it within St. Louis, like that also work at other bike shops in St. Louis. So they brought the service out to the playa, and like they had actual like tubes and wheels where like some other bike shops only had like a couple like things like air pumps and like patches, but like they were like fully serviced.
Man, I saw one that was like welding as well.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know, for bike frames that bust.
Because most of these bikes are.
Right. Yeah. No one's bringing nice bikes out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
unless
some of
the electric bikes. I was like, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, chain lube is mandatory.
But it was cool. The camp that I was with, they actually like wouldn't just do it for you; they teach you at the same time.
Oh, that's great.
So they would like show you like what was wrong, and then tell you to like
that's cool.
push on something or unscrew it or something like that. So that was cool.
Yeah, maybe I can throw in my bike mechanic skills into a future.
Yeah,
service.
exactly.
I owned a bike
really
shop
cool.
for.
Wait, I did not know that.
Years,
Wow.
Learning
something new. Wow.
Yeah, when I was from 2005 to 2009.
Isn't it crazy all the stuff we actually
shop,
don't know about each other? Like, it's so
I'll
crazy
catch
to
something
think
every
about.
now and then. Though.
Yeah.
I mean, with that, right, like
Totally.
one of those interesting things about changing chapters and everything else in my life, right, that none of my current friends and none of my current community that I'm around in St. Louis knows Bike Shop Matt. Also, no one here even was around when I was competing.
It's true. Yeah.
And so it's made a really interesting transition of like, I think it really helps not being accountable to like whatever that old ghost is, and you can be whoever you want to be.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
And yeah, I do. I find that fascinating that like I have these skills from these former lives and former experiences, right? So you guys just camped the first year. How was the weather? What was first year?
Oh man, the first year, like in 2018 was great weather. I mean, it was hot, but it wasn't like unbearable.
Okay.
You couldn't sleep past 9, but no, I mean like that. Who does, right? Unless you're out obviously the night before.
We did one night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like usually it's too hot if especially you're just in a tent that's not like completely set up or in an RV, so you can only have so much time before you're like, okay, I have to get out of here, and then find something a little bit more airy and just like comfortable. But yeah, like I don't know, is this kind of like
what was dust situation?
Dust situation during the day wasn't too bad, honestly. At night, yeah, a little worse.
Oh, the dust picked up at night.
Yeah, like because if I remember it was only one night though, when I was sleeping because I didn't have any cover. It was just a regular old half dome REI tent, and the dust got circulated in my tent enough to where like I woke up, I wasn't breathing because there was just so much like stuff around me. Other than that, like it wasn't too bad.
Okay.
Like, it was just I would prefer to be standing up.
Other than the
because
lack
I
of
was like
breathing.
smaller. It was like the smaller like on the floor tent. So like changing and like stuff like that. It's obviously a lot easier to be like standing and doing it. The Kodiak tents I heard are really nice.
Okay.
And of course those like what are those silver pod things?
Those are neat,
like
man.
some of the yurts, the
Yeah.
like canvas tents are really nice.
Yeah, it seems like there's a bunch of these like geodesic style,
Yeah,
like,
which is cool.
silver
I heard,
tents.
but they're not waterproof. I heard everybody said that they got water in them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's that. At least my tent was was slightly waterproof, so that was cool. I'm trying to think. I think I actually had a conversation with a friend, and we were both like, "Are we at that age where RVs just make sense now? Where you know what I mean?
No,
where you're just like
there's a
that's just-
0% chance I would enjoy it in a tent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like again, lowering those expectations and like your.
I think there's a couple of those realizations.
if you do a tent is what I mean. If you can't afford the RV or don't have one,
Sure.
Yeah, it's like you kind of like that's like what you
It's
can
a super
what you can
luxury.
compromise on. Yeah.
Manage expectations accordingly. We had 2 people in our camp this year in tents, and they were both under 26.
Yes, exactly.
So
Right. Yeah,
it's the kids. They're a bit
Yeah.
indestructible. They didn't have jobs they were trying to get back to, so they rode
They're
it out
just
the
like,
whole time.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But we were very comfortable in our van. I think we were at that age.
Yeah, well,
We're not doing anything less than the van.
we talked about it, and like one of the big driving forces about wanting to go to Burning Man kind of as soon as possible was like one of my dream adventures would have been to like take a year off of fucking school and go to Europe and backpack and stay in
a gap
hostels
year.
and have that adventure and meet women and get in a little bit of trouble and fucking figure life out, right? Like a
Absolutely.
fucking adventure.
Advocate for that 100%.
40-year-old me isn't interested in that adventure.
Yeah.
Like if I'm trying to stay at a hostel and go to bed at 8:30, I'm the asshole.
Right.
That's not what hostels are for.
Yeah. Yep.
They're for 20-year-olds to run amok. Mm-hmm. And so, realizing that like, oh, I missed the window on that really rad of adventure that I would have shaped me and changed and created this different version of me, but I missed it. Mm-hmm. And I know I wouldn't want to do it now.
Right.
I would interested in a European adventure, but it'll be different than that. And so I'm not sure how 50-year-old me feels about Burning Man, but I know I'm interested now. So let's fucking get to going.
Yeah. That's like the next like conversation is like all the older generations that you see there, and that they're just
It's
like
incredible.
and they know like how to just, I don't know, because they've been doing it for so long. They know their setup. Like I had friends that were camping with a mix, like younger crowd, like, and then there was like the 30s and then like the older and then like getting older to like grandpa, like grandma age. Like they could be literally our grandma and grandpas and like that. And they were like dishing out filet mignon and like lamb chops and like this like 5-course meal. And they're like a friend was like, I was at a camp and I was just getting all this good food and I was so confused. I was like, I'm getting fed better here than I would at home feeding myself. Yeah. And I was like, well, lucky you. I had tuna.
Yeah.
So like having camping with like, also that's like another experience is camping with somebody that's older, has been in there, been doing it for like 20 plus years. It's like different, so different, like such a different experience. And that was my first experience.
Sure.
Like that was who I was with was Robespierre, and their camp, they're like a smaller camp, and they served drinks basically. So like
Had like a bar.
yeah, exactly. So like that was their contribution and stuff like that. So It's everybody's a little bit different, but the length of like putting a camp on and like telling Bernie like why you should be there, it's extensive. It's like a full on like
every part of getting there is challenging.
Yeah, and then
right.
to like put
I think
a camp
that
together
sets a bit of the I don't know if expectation is a word, right? But like, you sure as shit aren't there by accident.
Yes, exactly. Oh God, that's so true. So true.
Like you definitely don't accidentally end up 100 miles away from civilization in the desert.
Yeah.
With enough food. There's no, how did I get here? Yeah, you fucking chose for like 2 months to get
straight
here.
up, yeah. And or like you had like, or just you just had the idea of like really wanting to make it happen. There's no like, I kind of want to go. It's like no, you
It's not enough.
you have to commit. Like if you don't commit, even if you're not sure you can't make it, it's like that commitment is enough. Because like what they say, I'm sure you guys heard it the entire time too, is the playa will provide. You know, whatever you're looking for, it'll come.
And it does, thanks to people like that. I mean, just to bring out all the camp equipment, all the stuff for the art cars, to put together the art. Like,
humans are amazing.
It's so much for nothing. Like, just for the experience, right? Like, they're not getting paid to do these things.
Right. It's not profitable.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
true.
just mind-blowing. It's so cool. And the playa does provide, and provides more than you could ever want. Like, there's a roller skating rink out there. You know what I mean? Like, the place with the bubble bath shower party.
Did you guys get to do that?
I did not go to the
Foam
foam
Oh
dome.
my God, I didn't either.
We had
that's also on my list. Every year
We had some campmates that went though, and they were just like could not speak highly enough of it.
It's so good.
Yeah,
I just hate a line.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can avoid a line, I'm like, I have a shower.
That is fair.
When we were out riding, we honestly stopped at very few places. Stopped at a lot of the art.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in the city, stopped at very few campgrounds. I mean, we went looking
Empty
for
ones.
you.
Yeah.
We went looking for 2 other friends that we found. But yeah, we stopped at some amazing places, but neither of us are big drinkers, so we didn't really want to
same.
stop at the bars.
I didn't drink either. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable just cruising through the neighborhoods though and finding like a cozy spot to sit for a second and just watch things cruise by, because it's all so surreal.
There's
at
so
night,
many things
right?
happening.
Yeah, you're like laying back in this pink fuzzy teddy bear chair, and then a 3-story sheep art car is just slowly cruising through the neighborhood, and you're just like, what? Like you're trying to comprehend.
Did you get on the sheep art?
We didn't get on that one.
Oh, you didn't get on that one.
No.
I didn't get on that one the first year. I didn't. I was trying to return back to it.
Okay.
But you can slide out the butt like poop.
Yes. I think I saw that with the horse too. There's
Yeah.
a few. Yeah. That one was
like
making
you're
us giggle every
popping out.
time.
Yeah.
Every time we
so
saw
cute.
it. And the cuttlefish car, we were laughing at
There's
that one.
so many.
Yeah, it's just the most ridiculous things you can ever imagine. Like it's real. It's happening there.
Yeah.
It's the most organized and also simultaneously unorganized.
Yeah, it's a chaotic
like-
mess, or
Yeah.
like
I found it to
beautiful
be-
chaoticness.
Wonderfully unreasonable. In a way of like the fact that someone brought a roller skating rink to the desert with roller skates for people to set
Right.
up a roller disco where you're not charging. That's fucking crazy. That's a ridiculous thing to be like this year. Roller rink,
Yeah,
and then figuring out the problem
That's
solving.
been there
of
too.
it. I bet it
yeah,
has.
It was there in 2018 as well. Just like from the last time I remember, and my friend that went actually ended up accidentally twisting his ankle.
Oh no!
Yeah,
Oh,
and
bummer.
and had to be wheelchaired the rest of the Burning
Became
Man.
a liability.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
We
He
left
was
him in the
fine.
made.
He had a great time.
It
Yeah,
has
and they
to
returned
be-
this year again.
Did
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, and I
All
didn't
right
get
on.
to see him, but yeah.
It has to be just the biggest party in the world.
I don't know what actually gets to claim that. Because I
that's a
know
good
there's music
point.
festivals that'll have like 400,000 people
That's
at it.
true.
But,
Because
like,
they cap attendance, right?
the-
And that's what makes it tricky to go.
Sure.
There was, I mean,
Sure.
like 70,000. Like, I mean, this wasn't even the biggest one.
But also like this the square mileage it
That's
takes
what I was
up.
gonna
Like,
say
I
there
don't-
as well. Another thing I didn't get to do, I never haven't gotten to do, and I want to, is to go from like
The trash fans.
all the way down and
Edges,
just
yeah.
explore all parts of it. I don't know if you guys heard about the like marathon that was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do an ultra.
Yeah. Yeah, the ultra. That's right. Yeah. I didn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
super
do that.
cool.
But
Like-
I love that people do that.
How was your getting tickets this year?
Not hard, but not like just unexpectedly like
I mean, did you log
easy,
in and
I
buy
guess.
them
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
typically?
The Oh
or-
My God sale. You got that? You
It was
got on
the
Oh My God sale,
last
right?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
last
August.
one. And I tried the first time, like the main sale. I did try and didn't get it. And I waited, I think, like, just like spinning wheel, like online for like 2 hours. And then it was like, oh, sorry, you didn't make it. And you're just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And you just kind of, but like, even the friend that I was going with, like the group that I was talking to other girls, 2 of us were pretty like casual about it, I guess. Like we weren't like really concerned because I guess we've already gone. So it was just like this trust
Yeah.
the
Sure,
universe.
sure. Right.
It
Like,
happens.
The
we'll get
fly
there.
will ride. We'll get there, like that kind of thing. And but the other friend, it was her first time. She really wanted to make it happen. It was like, I think the Oh My God sale was early August?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think this was like a week prior. And she was just like, I just don't feel like we're doing anything. I was like, yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
about
that's about right. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that feels like that's what it's going to feel like. But trust me, I was like, come August, it will happen. If you're
Yeah.
already like kind of setting yourself up to go, I was like, at least in your mind, doesn't mean you have to have stuff together. Just like the commitment alone in your mindset,
Yeah.
you'll make it happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, you took care of tickets and
Yeah.
everything for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I felt very similar to your friend, right? Like really wanted to make it happen this year because we've been wanting to go for a couple years and it just hasn't worked out scheduling wise.
Plus, it's your
And
birthday.
Plus, yeah, my
Yeah,
birthday
your
was September 1st. I
birthday.
really have just been wanting to spend it on the playa, and this year was definitely memorable.
Yes.
But yeah, I did the Oh My God sale as well, and like again, felt very similar to your friend. Like you register for the sale, and then it's like, okay, come back here in 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and I'm just like, okay, like I have no idea if I'm doing everything right.
Yeah.
But logged on and got entered in there, and then I'm just watching it refresh and that little circle spin for about an hour.
Same.
I think.
Yeah. It was
about
same
an
for me
hour.
too.
Got to the checkout, saw that there were tickets available, but it said parking passes sold out, and I'm like, we really need that because I know we're not going to do this
Yeah.
intense. And I'm like furiously texting Matt because it holds your tickets for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. I'm like,
Counting,
what do I do?
Like the
Yeah.
counting down.
yeah, it's counting down, so there's
Yeah.
extra pressure. He's doing his life, so it's taking him a minute to respond. And he's like, just get the tickets, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out the parking pass
Yeah.
out. And I'm like, okay, all right. So boom, click, purchase, got the tickets. And then maybe within 5 minutes, you texted me.
I know.
And you're like, did you get the tickets?
Crazy.
I know.
And I'm
it's
like,
so
I
crazy.
did, but we didn't get a parking pass. And the universe showed up once again, and you were like, well, I'm not going to be using mine. Do you want it? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would
I
love to buy that from
know.
you. That sounds great. And these, synchronicities just kind of kept happening as I think I told you this already, but I'll tell the podcast. As we were preparing for this, we were going to be a part of a official camp
Yep.
with
Yes.
one
That
of
we
Matt's.
applied for with
Oh,
a buddy
nice.
of mine.
Yeah,
Cool.
with one of Matt's friends.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
and that was the original plan. And then, we had registered and everything. And then we hear back from them and they're like, actually, camp's full. Sorry. You
yeah,
can
that happens.
be near us if you want, but it's full. And we're like, okay, no problem. And then maybe within the next hour or two, you heard from Jacob.
Yeah, I heard from a friend that I've hung out with once in Salt Lake City, and he's like, "Oh, if you're going, we've got room."
An informal camp.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I don't know how any of this shit works, right?"
So
Yeah.
yes, we'd love
So
to be
having
with
a
you.
Yeah.
Sherpa would be lovely.
Yes, I know. Gosh,
And he's like, "Look, here's what he shows us like a whiteboard sketch of like layout of camp
Yes.
of where cars will be parked, and
Nice.
you'll pull in and park here and block
Yep.
this side." I'm like, "Sweet."
Sounds good. So
Yeah.
that problem was also solved like the day of.
cool.
And then the RV that we were going to rent in Salt Lake fell through.
Yeah, I'd had a friend gifted me.
Right.
Like through their company was like, "Yeah, we've got an RV if you need to borrow it, blah, 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 blah." And I guess as they went up the ladder corporate and they're like, "Nope,
They're like,
we're not sending any
Not
RVs
Burning
to
Man."
Burning Man. We sent 3 a couple years ago and they cost us 30 grand to fix."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
So
like, "I understand that."
Yeah.
that
yeah,
didn't
true.
that didn't work out. And then I don't know if that one was the same day, but shortly after, I was talking to our friend Molly on Instagram. She has an amazing adventure van that's all built out, and she was headed back from Salt Lake, and we were just chatting, and she's like, oh, what's next for you guys? I'm like, oh, we're headed to Burning Man in a couple weeks, da-da-da. And she's like, oh, you should take the van. And I'm like, what? Just take it? I'm like, yes. Again, I'm like, yes, please.
It's one of
thank
those,
you.
like, don't fuck around with us.
I'm like,
seriously.
yes, we will.
Yeah.
And so all these three things just kind of happened in succession, and it was very much just felt like the universe is like, oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to make this happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay the course. Like, all these things are going to work out. And that's just another testament to the amazing people and friends and community we have.
Yeah.
Like, knowing you, knowing Molly, having these other friends in Salt Lake that we're going to camp. And ultimately, that was, probably our biggest takeaway and thing that we want to integrate deeper from Burning Man was this sense of community. And we've got it here, but like there's other levels to this.
Well, I mean, how powerful just the sense of community is, right? The sense of community alone that surrounds Burning Man is enough that 200,000 or more people a year battle to be the 80,000 that can go to the desert and be uncomfortable for a week in the dust, right? Like, that's fucking crazy. That's simply based on community and accountability to that community and being part of it. They're building pirate ships on school buses. Like, the amount of fucking unreasonable energy making that thing special is ridiculous.
Yep.
And so, I mean, if that's what the power of community can do, then like, I want to
be about
more
it.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
And there were even more beautiful examples of it this year, given the situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was I guess we'll cut now to this year with so prepared for dust, which we had like an afternoon of.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah.
And then it started raining. And so
we got there on Tuesday. You got there on Thursday.
Yeah.
And it started raining Friday afternoon.
Right. And so as soon as it started raining, I think a couple of members of our camp basically like panicked.
Saw the forecast.
Yeah, saw the forecast, knock on our van, and then they're like, hey, looks like it's going to rain the rest of this evening and then like some tomorrow. So if we're going to we should get the fuck out of here now.
Oh, they wanted to like...
Oh, yeah. And so like immediately, like everyone sprang to action, was tearing down our camp, getting things sorted.
Wow. Okay.
They got their stuff packed up, and so like 3 people left.
Whoa, okay.
And so they ended up, and he's got a big 4-wheel drive truck with a camper in the back of it, and like tires the way like my Tundra does. And then like I'm watching him pull away as we're already like now in the platform mud shoes.
Okay.
From walking around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's already a bit wet.
It took me a second to know what you were saying. And then
Yeah,
I
you could
realized,
just feel yourself.
Like, oh,
You just get taller and
Getting
taller.
taller. I'm like walking around. I'm like, my shoes are 40 pounds, but also I'm like
Fucking-
5'6".
Yeah.
Like a mud version of Gene Simmons just stomping around in kiss boots.
Oh God, watching people walk around was so funny. So we're watching them leave
Okay.
in
And
this
he's
vehicle.
4-wheel drive big tires, and like I'm watching all 4
gosh.
tires cake up completely and spin, but like
Really?
he can manage it.
Okay, that's good. So
And
he
we're
got
in
out.
a 2-wheel drive van
Yeah.
with like, which I know from off-roading experience, what that really means is 1 tire in the back is going to spin. And we have street tires.
Yes.
We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we ended up staying, and then the other couple that was with us, Jacob and Amelia, or we were with them, either way, they at our camp had like a big trailer they were pulling with a 4-wheel drive. And he decided like,
Yeah.
what are we going to do? We're going to get stuck halfway to the fucking gate, and then I got to spend 3 days there. It's better to spend 3 days here. Getting out, great. Not getting out, way fucking worse decision than staying.
Yeah. I mean, we all saw how many cars were
are
stuck
just buried.
and RVs, and they just didn't listen. And it was just one of those like, I know, I get it, that fear, that like fight or flight, you want to go.
Well, he had trips planned. Like he was planning to leave Saturday anyway,
does.
right?
Yeah.
Or work Monday, or how many people. Lots of stuff. I don't have any judgment for Bailey.
Yeah, no, not at all. Even for myself. But if you could get out, then great. But then when you got stuck, they were just like, they even said, we can't help. We're not going to help you.
You're on your own.
You're on your own.
And so I think that was like, I think if as long as you have like enough people with you, that makes sense. Because then you can know you power in the people, we can make it out. But if you're like one or two in a big van, then it's like assessing the situation, right? Like you did. Like,
Anything that was 2-wheel drive on that day,
I don't think people understand their cars that much, though. Like
I
didn't even know that. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't, because now I understand what all-wheel drive means.
Right.
Like I get it now.
and even that, like we got stuck on the way out, and in nothing. It's just slicker than greased house shit out there, and there's nowhere to get any traction with what we had, and so lowering air pressure down in the tires eliminates that immediately.
Really?
And so you get a bigger footprint.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So if
luckily,
you're driving
weird former life skills, right?
Like if you're driving in sand or something.
Yeah, you just lower the air pressure to like half.
But how do you just manually do it?
Yeah, just jump out of the car and
unscrew
the thing and push on it until you see the tires sink down a bit.
What?
And then
all right,
flatten
you guys,
out. Like,
PSA right here.
So imagine it like trying to walk through mud or sand.
Yeah.
In an elephant's foot.
Okay, and then it like.
Or a hoof.
Okay.
Or
right?
surface
Like,
area, right? Like if you're on like
a okay.
If you're on like a frozen lake, get on your stomach.
Yeah, right? The same way snowshoes
instead of like
work,
walking.
Right? They expand the size of your foot.
Wow, you guys.
So.
Learning something new. What?
Right.
But anyway, we're all over the place with this timeline. So we watched our friends drive out. We chose not to leave, so we kind of rearranged our camp. So we were closer to our campmates, and like even driving a couple feet in the van, we caked the tires completely. And then we're hearing the Burning Man radio, and they're like, "Everyone, stay put. We might not be getting out of here until Tuesday. Check and see what you have for food and water." So then you're taking like inventory.
Cold.
Yeah, it's getting
gonna
cold
get cold.
tonight.
I know they kept saying that over and over
Check
again.
on your friends who are in tents, et cetera, et cetera. And so then we pretty much like took inventory of what we had as far as food and water and everything. We're like, if we are stuck here till next Wednesday, like what does this look like? Rained all night Friday. Rained pretty much all day Saturday.
Yeah, like off and on.
Yeah, but we were having a fucking great time at camp.
Great time.
Playing games, just hanging out, getting to know our campmates a lot better. Like we are forever bonded because of that experience for sure.
I wanted to come see you guys.
So how was it in y'all's when the mud started? Because we really ended up managing it pretty well.
For sure.
For the most part, managed it pretty well as well. I was got there on Thursday, had one good evening, and then like the next day I went to a friend's breathwork class workshop, and I was at just another camp basically, and it started downpouring, and I was not wearing the best outfit for rainy, cold weather, and like let's say I was just like I kept looking outside, and I was like I could go back to my camp right now, or I could just hang out right here and just like take a nap. And that's what I did. I literally just took a nap and just like did not want to deal with what was going on outside. Sure. But then eventually, so that I got to that camp around noon-ish, like maybe close to 1, and I didn't leave till like 5 or 6, just because I napped. And then and then I decided I had to like actually do something. I had to leave my bike, took off my shoes, and just walked barefoot.
Just barefoot.
It was the only way. Like otherwise, it was just too messy.
No, it's like peanut butter. It just caked and got really thick and heavy quickly.
Yes.
It was great watching everyone just stomping around with these 50-pound shoes, and then everyone, like, you give it a little bit more time, and then you see people putting garbage bags on, putting plastic bags on. You see everyone, like, adapting and figuring it out.
Of mud.
The evolution of living in this camp.
Stage.
Yeah, for real. But it was beautiful. We had so many people coming by offering to share food.
Oh, that's so good.
Got offered cookies, walking back and forth to the bathrooms. And, we had one guy in our group that was ex-military.
Oh,
I guess. And he
used to fly like F-15s, like a jet pilot.
Super,
who now
super
does
sweet guy.
Wingsuit shit and like paragliding.
Just the coolest guy, and just loved sharing camp with him. And he's like, yo, the porta potties are going to be the number one problem. He's like, I'm going to eat less so I don't have to poop as much. And we're like,
makes sense.
Interesting. And I mean,
and he meant from like bacteria. That,
right.
It's wet on the ground.
No, I knew exactly.
Overflow, like, nope.
Yeah.
That's how people get real fucking sick.
Yep. Agreed.
And so we had like a pee jug, and we were collecting it in like a 5-gallon water bucket or water jug that was empty. And that was all fine. But I mean, every trip to the porta potties was like, fingers crossed this isn't overflowing. It was just terrible.
I know.
But we had like a poop bucket ready to go in case we needed it.
Yeah.
Sunday morning before we left, they were like to the brim.
Yeah.
To the brim.
Where you guys were at?
Where we were, yeah. And
So
I was like,
3:45 in H.
Yeah, I was at 6 and D.
And yours is tricky to find.
Oh no, it was the worst.
Yeah, we drove by
God, you guys.
twice, and kept like looking for you, but didn't see you.
You're just looking for people your height.
Yeah,
Is all we did, right?
Yeah, because we didn't know how you'd look. But
I love that. You're like, we went looking for you. Like,
not
just
see you.
kind of looking for you. So funny. So, like, getting there Thursday night, or like Thursday afternoon, my first night out to the playa was Thursday night. You know, had a little fun.
Sure.
And it was like 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, I need to go to bed. Because I thought, like, Friday, I'm going to have I want to stay up for sunrise.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to go to bed right now. And I knew I had that workshop and all that stuff. So I was like trying to plan slightly ahead. So I'm like, hey, friends, leaving you, going to my tent. They're like, yeah, just stay on this or just straight shot towards, the man. You'll be fine. Okay, cool. I'll be fine. 2 hours it took me to find my tent, and it was like I could see sun rising. I'm like, because I couldn't figure out where I was.
Address.
Yes, and I just could not find my address. Like, I was getting so confused. It was the whole time because I gave the wrong address to myself.
You told us 4:45.
Yes, I know, because that's what I was told,
Yeah.
but apparently that was wrong too.
Well, we found
it's
Pandora's
basically D. Yeah,
by
it was like
accident.
D, it was like D in 5:45, right? So then it would be like D in 6 because of where it was. So confusing.
Yeah.
Took me forever. 2 hours. I had to literally find someone. Like, I found someone. I was stopping at every person that was around and awake or hadn't gone to. Yeah, literally.
No.
I was like, I'm lost. Can someone help me? And then, so finally this guy graciously, walked me back to my tent and, helped me out.
Hell yeah.
And so funny, I ran into him Sunday morning.
Really?
Or Monday morning. Sorry, Monday morning. He was trying to return back to his wife and kids on Friday. And I see him Monday. So he didn't make it out. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I was just like, you guys just stay. He's like, yeah, I couldn't get out. He's like that. Crazy.
Yeah. We definitely enjoyed our time being reined in.
Yeah.
And
I
then
wasn't mad about it by any means. Yeah.
It was great. We definitely made the most of the time, and then woke up Sunday morning to clear skies.
Yes.
And obviously less wet playa, so we're like, fuck it, let's try.
Yeah, if we're gonna make a move, we gotta move.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all three of us, our two friends had 4-wheel drive, and then us, so they kind of followed behind to make sure we were good, helped us when we got stuck a little bit, but we didn't wait at all.
No,
other than
we had
getting
no
slightly
line.
stuck, there was
'cause
no
you-
line to
yeah,
leave
you-
at 9 a.m.
Yep,
probably
you're right.
on Sunday, 9 or 10, and the kids that were camping with us in tents chose to stay behind.
Never any choice. They were like, "Get the fuck out
And-
of here. We're not leaving."
So we left them a bunch of food, and we're like, okay,
great.
kids, good luck.
And not quite tent. So one of the girls who's 21, Kara, she had a tent.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. They did have the trailer
Yep.
too. Yeah,
and
I forgot.
then they had a trailer, like a 5x8 box trailer.
Okay.
That he had towed out.
Okay.
And that's where we had a big shade structure.
Yeah.
And everything goes into the trailer.
Okay.
And so the way the trailer is also built, it was like split level, and there was a mattress top and bottom.
Nice.
But there's
bed,
no
yeah.
windows or anything in it.
Yeah.
There was an AC. So easy living.
Yeah,
a headlamp in there. You're
Yeah, you're
golden. I've
good.
slept
Yeah.
in way worse.
Yeah.
They're comfortable. Plus, they're kids.
Plus, it's dark. You could actually sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they wrote it out. Right.
They wrote
And
it
that's
out.
what they should do. They're 20.
Yeah, exactly. They had nothing to return to.
Right.
Yeah.
Stay for the adventure.
Yeah, exactly. So they got to see the burn.
Yeah.
They got to
That's
see the
cool.
burn. Sounds like they made it home safe and sound.
Oh,
but
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Our camp just kind of ended up adopting them, which is cute. Which is
Oh,
what
that's
sounds like
so
what happened
fun.
to you
Yeah,
your
exactly.
first year.
Yeah.
'Cause that's just the mentality out there.
Yeah,
Like, oh, you need a
exactly.
home? You need food? You need a bike? We got you.
So I guess, if I'm listening to this, right, like what I know about Burning Man or what I've heard, right, is this big drug orgy in the desert.
Not far off.
It can be if you want it to be.
I was like, yeah, that's what I was to say, yeah.
Yeah, there is that, right? And I mean, did I go out there to use psychedelics? Fuck yeah, I did. Like because I'm aware of the weirdness of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's one of the things I like most about that medicine is that it enhances weirdness.
Heightened experience.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what a place for it. And so as soon as we parked, it was immediately take what the plan was for that night, which
amazing.
Night one, mine is acid and Molly. Mm-hmm. And then hit the playa.
Same.
Yeah, right. Like it's an incredible combo.
Oh, man.
I don't drink it all.
No, same. Yeah.
And we laughed about that because like pedaling. Mm-hmm. I don't feel drugs whatsoever while pedaling a bike.
Yep.
And then we would be like, oh, let's re-up or whatever it is because we're looking to be a bit cooked.
Yeah.
And we'd stop and be like, oh, we're all right.
Yeah, it was very interesting. The first night, I definitely felt it when I was riding the bike.
Okay.
And, so many people, their only experience with substances is alcohol, right? So
Right.
I very much was like, I don't know how this is going to be riding a bike and having my cocktail choice. Like, I don't know how it's going to be because we just associate that with lack of balance or lack of coordination when you're drinking. And my substance cocktail was the same for that first night, and it just got to a really, really incredibly beautiful flow state for me where I'm like, I don't even have to touch the bike.
Yeah.
It's just going where I'm thinking about the bike going. I'm pedaling. I got this huge silly grin on my face. Yeah. At like 4 a.m. I'm like, my face hurts. I'm like, because I don't want to smile anymore, but I can't help it because I'm just in such a beautiful spot. And that was the other problem is I couldn't feel myself getting sore from pedaling the 5 hours that first night, which is crazy. But yeah, I was feeling it when I was on the bike. Night 2, we took it easy. Mostly because I was so sore and like could not be on a bike.
Yeah.
But we found like a lovely camp that was just like pillows and mattresses.
And
and
we
just like
hung
the
out
best.
in there and
Yeah.
nice lighting
Oh,
for
so good.
hung out, like
And
made out,
and
people watching.
And just like knowing that you had the rest of the week too.
Yes.
Like,
You're not in a hurry.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
And then it was Thursday night where we dropped in and just really couldn't feel anything anytime we were pedaling.
Yeah,
Until-
you'd taken acid again, and I went with mushrooms.
That night was mushrooms and Molly for both of us.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So we were pedaling around, just going through the neighborhoods, just seeing what there was to see, and we stopped at this camp that was like a Norse mythology. They were doing some type of choreographed like war dance with like spears, and I was like, let's stop and watch.
Oh, cool.
And we stopped, and I'm just like locked in, super locked in. I'm like, oh, I feel it now.
That's so good.
And that ended up being such a different feeling combination, of course, for that night. And I just kept telling Matt, I'm like, everything feels like magic.
Yes.
Like just
Oh my
everything
gosh.
feels alive with wonder and awe and possibility. And like, it's so hard to describe, but it was such a beautiful sensation. And that night, actually, everyone came back to camp kind of early.
Yeah.
And we hung out. Yeah, that was really great too. Like,
Yeah, we all sat around in chairs and talked.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the magic of the connection out there is rad.
So good. It's yeah, there was a conversation kind of like you were saying, like the awe and wonderment is that like we're not surprised anymore because like we like not slightly but kind of expect these beautiful things to happen from the universe. So you're not surprised when something happens or you're gifted something, but you're just in gratitude and awe and wonderment of it still happening.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to be in an environment where I don't have to question the intention of the person I'm meeting. Like at all.
love that.
And that was such an interesting that filter could get turned off.
Yeah.
There's nothing to gain from me. Mm-hmm. And so that eliminates a big chunk of why people act the way they act.
Yeah, there's nothing but good intentions.
And there's no way to decipher people out there, right? Like it is, I mean, it's a city of 80,000 people and you have the full spectrum. You have billionaires flying in on private jets and you have people walking out in a tent. You know what I mean? It is just like a city.
Yep.
There's both.
Yeah, there's both. It's like that whole radical acceptance.
And that changes, like, you know, the comfort you're going to sleep in every night. But the rest of it, it's equal. You're not allowed in any places. There isn't any type of, I mean, radical inclusion is a big chunk of it. And so it's not like, even when it started raining and getting gross, I thought one of the most interesting things was like, oh, I can't order anything to help this. Like, there's no way for me to buy my way out of this pain in the ass.
Yeah. All you have is what you have. Yeah. Which makes you even more appreciative of every single little thing. You're like, oh, I found an extra roll of duct tape. Like, oh my God, that's a life-changing thing
or
in
an
that
extra
moment.
Pair of socks.
Right. Or an extra towel like that you didn't know you packed. Like, all those things was so cool. You just appreciate everything so much more.
Yeah, I packed some ponchos.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
I know. I was from my
Nice.
camping trip and I just shoved them in there and I kind of forgot about them. And then I was like, wait,
Yeah.
I have ponchos.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
stuff
so
like
walking
that.
around got easier because it was like we were just completely like slightly prepared.
Yes.
Did you get creative with footwear?
No, it was straight up just barefoot the
Just
whole time.
barefoot.
I did get a pretty bad blister, but you know, it was okay. Like, it was just easier for me, I guess, because I just was annoyed by if I put my shoes on, then I had to take them off. I went in and out between, but I saw like one of the best ones was like putting plastic over your foot, then the sock. And then something like that kind of combination. Because I noticed that when you only wore a sock, it got really wet and stayed wet. So I was like kind of worried about trench foot.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah,
Like,
nothing was drying.
Yeah,
really well
exactly.
either.
So I was just like slightly worried about that, and your foot would get really cold. So it was like so that's why I felt like barefoot was almost even better. But then you like risked.
Then you have to figure out mud management being back.
Yeah, exactly.
Mud
yeah,
management.
Yeah, like, I mean, getting mud off your feet to get back in your tent or something like that.
Thing was great was like if you were in a spot where it had like a little puddle and then you could actually wash your feet off within like the puddle of mud water, and it worked. So that was what I kind of like banked on most of the time, or just like a lot of wet wipes.
We had determined that trash bags on your feet, the mud won't stick to trash bags.
Oh, interesting. I didn't.
And so
know about
then, as we have time, I noticed Jacob has like taken duct tape now and like fashioned his trash bags around like another pair of shoes. And so that they're not hanging everywhere.
on. Yeah, because that's what I saw. That was the worst.
Like
and that
forms
way,
like to the shoe.
You're not burning a trash bag every time you have to go to the toilet.
Exactly.
And so I ended up spending an hour duct taping trash bags around my shoes.
There you go.
Yeah, you get creative.
Yeah, because
that
then
way.
you could just, like, I had picked up these 3 20-foot by 12-foot canvas tarps because I really thought we were going to have to, like, I thought about it on the way out that, like, heat's going to be the fucking killer for me. If I can't rest during the day and I'm partying all night and I can't get cold, it'll ruin it. I want to go home. And so I was like, oh, okay, so we have a van. We've got this roof rack on it. We have blockers for the windows that were insulated, but if I can put a second layer over it to create shade so that the sun isn't into the window first.
Yep.
And so we had these big 3 canvases, and when we rolled up to camp, we didn't need them because they had a gigantic shade structure that I had no idea why people would haul that out there, but now I get it.
Yeah.
I will, and so we had these big tarps. So we laid one on the ground, and then we put it between our 2 trailers once we readjusted. So we had a dry, no mud spot to walk across.
Oh, that's nice.
And
no
then
one
we
got
set
it
up-
muddy.
Yeah, well, then we had like another tarp out past that kind of collected water. And so we had a place to like rinse feet off a bit.
Okay.
And then they were
See,
clean
when
by
you
the
have
time.
a setup. Yeah,
we were
that's so
very
nice.
comfortable.
Yeah.
And then the
Shoulda
other
came towards
one,
you guys.
we laid on the floor in the van. So the floor of the van didn't get gross.
Oh, smart.
The van
Yeah.
stayed incredibly clean.
Yeah.
Honestly.
That's
so
what I mean. I feel like it's just like management, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
And that was a killer purchase
Yeah.
on the way out.
Yeah,
So well
those
done.
were
Smart. Yeah.
Great,
You know,
great.
Yeah.
The other part that I absolutely loved about the whole experience was just the way that nudity is treated.
Oh my God, yes.
It
one
makes
gives a shit.
I
it
love
makes
it.
me
I say it all the time.
so happy.
Yeah.
Like it's not sexualized at all. Like we
I
had,
talked about that all the time.
yeah, we had a shower for our camp and like everyone is just showering in front of each other. It's not a big deal. I'm like, oh my God, this is so liberating and feels so fucking good. Our neighbor who was like a 60-something-year-old school teacher would like run over in her robe and just flash us, occasionally, like just to be funny. Yeah,
because
she was
she
great.
can't in her regular
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because you
And
can.
we're not offended.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was awesome, and we're loving it, and a lot more naked guys. I felt like than
The
than-
ratio's never. It's never to the way of chicks. Like
Yeah.
naked bike riding here in St. Louis when they give people a weird afternoon. Let them have it, Bill.
Yeah, let them have one day of nudity.
One day they need to purge it.
But it just made me happy. It's
No, I
just cool to
agree.
see, like,
I love
you're
it.
just
That's how I
in,
am as well.
in the fullest expression of yourself. How cool. And it's
how
completely
quickly
accepted.
within an hour that you just don't recognize it anymore because it's not important. It's not out of place. And because Burning Man is so weird, it makes all the weirdness normal. Like,
Right.
you want to stand out in Burning Man? Like, wear a fucking suit.
Ain't that the oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true. Oh my god. Yeah.
I just love that aspect of that freedom of it, right? Of how when you're surrounded by that much weirdness, like, you can just be. No one's paying attention, man. If you want to walk around with your dick out, no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe yes. And then it might be hard for some people to like digest that just because it's so not normalized in this default world that we're in.
Specifically our culture here.
Yeah, Western culture.
Yeah.
Yes, and then it comes back to community though as well because like 2 weeks prior, I'm with my good friends I lived in Thailand with, and we are all naked around each other just
Right.
because we're just so comfortable around each other. It's not super hypersexualized. It's just what our bodies look like. Like it's like why can't we just know it's a whole conversation that we have. Around it. It's like, why can't we just feel comfortable? Like, why does it take so much effort for someone to pull off their shirt and be
It's
like, who's
'cause
going to be the first one?
Dudes
Like, that
are a
kind of
fucking
thing.
problem.
Well,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And just years and years and years of
Programming.
ancestral programming around shame.
it's
around
definitely
nudity
not
and-
like it's
Yeah.
definitely not a like a conversation that's going to be solved overnight by any means.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of confidence, even from your own self, to feel that someone's not judging you, because like I still get nervous too.
Sure.
Like, doesn't mean that just because I like being naked that I think like, oh, it's totally fine. No, it takes a couple moments to like
Oh yeah, like even
to
still,
to
my
like
first
get to
shower
the point
was
to
like,
it.
just
Yeah.
fucking do it and be done
Yes,
giving a shit.
yes.
You know
exactly.
no one cares,
Yes.
asshole.
Yep.
You know that the freedom
Yep.
here is on the other side of this feeling.
Yeah,
Just quit giving
and
a
it's
fuck.
crazy that it's a feeling that you have to get past. Like it's not gonna like shoot a lightning bolt down to you. Like nothing's gonna happen, and it's
Yeah.
so quiet and like just it's in your own head.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you go through it, and you're just like, oh, it
Yeah.
wasn't so bad.
Right.
Like,
As soon as our campmate had mentioned that he had an outdoor shower and we could use it and all that, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I can just slap on a swimsuit, whatever. And then I saw other people in our camp
Yeah, I
showering.
saw him immediately go shower, and I just watched bare ass go through camp, and I'm like, perfect.
Yeah, and I was like,
Perfect.
got it. I see what
Yeah,
this is.
okay, yes,
Awesome.
exactly,
I'm not thinking
yep.
about that swimsuit anymore. But that's what the default brain goes to, right? Like some semblance of coverage.
Yeah.
And it was great. That was one of the best showers I've ever taken. You know? Like it feels
Yeah.
so good to be naked outside.
Oh, that's been one of the best parts of any of our road trips.
Yeah. Try being naked as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Man, I guess what I expected, it just wasn't what I expected. I expected it to
It's a
be
great answer.
more in the drug, more in the party thing.
That's where that conversation is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I expected it to feel more of that, and it really was. It is, right? But
also-
the drugs of choice, being what they are, really elicit different feelings out of people when you have. It's not
And they're
alcohol
not-
and cocaine.
Yeah, and they're not as visible, right?
Right.
You don't see
Yeah.
people, you don't see anyone stumbling around being drunk. Like
yeah.
if you didn't know,
It's not a shit show.
you wouldn't know.
No, it's
No.
not a shit show. And I mean, even at 5 a.m., I never saw it get gross.
Yeah, like
You know, we talked about it, right, with like the difference of drugs, of whether it's mushrooms or Molly or acid or ketamine or whatever it is people are doing in the psychedelic realm, or edibles or fucking whatever. Alcohol is super consistent. Whereas like these will vary a bit on like what have you been doing the last couple days. I think psychedelics are pretty tough to abuse just by the nature of them.
I don't know. I think that just depends, right?
I think you can, right? But I also don't think they play real well with it.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas alcohol, I mean, you'll microdose yourself to death over the long term.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, cocaine, like both of those in my experience are drugs that really brought out the parts of my personality that I don't care for the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas psychedelics, the parts of my personality that I already don't care for the most are being as interested in attention as I am, and being excited and not managing talking the best way. And with psychedelics, it's like I run everything through before I say it. Whereas alcohol, it is just going to fucking go. Yeah, me and cocaine, come on. Terrible.
Come on.
It's fucking terrible.
No experience there.
Oh, man. Actually, so I ran into walking out that 5 mile, 2 mile walk that like Diplo and Chris Rock did.
So funny, dude. Yeah, but look, man, they were trying to shit on it.
So good.
And at the same
love
time,
it.
But like,
Dude, he had a show to be at in
Yeah, it
DC the
makes
next
sense.
night. Like,
Yeah.
homie is
He
trying
he
to
probably
hit.
has
Yeah.
an 8-figure payday.
Right.
I'm
Of course
You know
he's
what I
trying
mean?
to get
Like,
out.
I just love it
I
because
love
now
that
we
he's
can
like, I'm
all
getting
say
out.
it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. But as we were doing that walk on Sunday morning, we probably like passed each other, honestly, because I think we got out by like 10.
So
Okay.
we
And
saw,
yeah, so
we
you
saw the
probably
buses.
saw me walking, but didn't realize it was me.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah. I talked to 2 parents. They were heading back home. At first, they were going to stay, and they were just like, "No, we heard our daughter, and we were supposed to take her to college." So she was like really upset with us, like for
My
wanting to
parents are
stay.
stuck at Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we could hear how upset she was. So we were just like, we have to get back. We have to get back to SF. So then I was like, so how many kids do you have? And they're like, oh, like 3, and they're all like throughout like high school and college. I go, well, what's your conversation on like drugs? Like what would your because they obviously know you do it. Like 'cause
Sure,
you're
right.
at Burning Man.
Yeah.
And they're just like, they're like, we tell them to do less. You can always take more. That's always like the key, right? And then knowing that like what gives you a benefit, what's gonna make you like explore, be better, kind of tap into that part of yourself where you can ask those deep questions. He's like, don't do crack cocaine. He's like, doesn't it really have a benefit? He's like, and then also talk to people who've done it before you. What's their experience like? Ask questions. And it was just like a beautiful response from my dad that like you would look at him and never know. Never know. You wouldn't like, if you want to judge someone, it's like you would never know that someone like himself put together would be into this, and then him having this conversation with me, I was like, that's really cool. Like, I like that he's so open, and him and his wife both, like, and that they have kids. It's like, just because you grow old doesn't mean older and you have kids doesn't mean that you can't have fun and educate your kids about this stuff.
And not only that perspective, right, which is fucking so rad. And I think about my parents and how radically different
Same.
that is.
Yeah.
And how much you are shaped by those years, no matter what they are, whether they're really great or they're super fucking terrible, the whole spectrum shapes you. Mm-hmm. And had that been my parents' view on a lot of things, I'm a completely different 40-year-old. Like, there's no way I'm me. And so kind of thinking now about like what ideal would be around of like if I wanted to really try to create. And I think about some of our friends, Kyle Kingsbury, of all people, right? Kyle is super aware, super switched on. He's physically fit, was a black belt in jiu-jitsu, fought in the UFC for a while, has done well business-wise, and they now run a farm outside of Austin that they're fully sustainable. And like their kids are on the farm with them. and around like a group of other 3 families on the farm that take right.
You're talking my future right here.
If you're looking for a place, I bet Kyle and them. So,
oh my gosh,
if things ever go that tits up, that's where I'm headed.
Yeah,
Was it Gardeners of Eden?
Yeah,
I believe is what
I love that.
It's beautiful.
In Austin.
It's beautiful what they've done. They've got emus and mules, and they're growing plants. And
this is literally the future.
have a pond, and it's. I'm bummed I haven't got out there yet.
You will.
Yo, for sure. Even we've talked about like, let's just go work for a week and help.
Dude, if you go, let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll let you know. Like, just go live there and work there for a little bit.
The conversation, like that reunion I just came back from with friends, that's the conversation we're having. Like, we're like, we really like being around each other. Why do we have to go? Why do we have to think that we have to live separately if we can create this like wholesome, symbiotic, like community, and family?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that, I think we stigmatize a little bit in our society too, because we've looked at success by like an amount of shit you have a lot. And so, I mean, think about how much we look at success by, say, size of your house. Right? Yep. And like, cool, I have 9 fucking rooms to remind me I'm by myself instead of my office.
Yeah.
And I think that creates a very different imprint in your head, that if you've got this big fucking giant house to show everyone else how wealthy you are, yet you're fucking hanging out in it by yourself the whole time. It's not the same feeling as if I had that money, right, instead of buying myself some 10,000 square foot fucking thing, I would rather buy my 5 favorite people houses on a cul-de-sac with me. Like, that's what I would rather have.
Right.
Is be able to share that community and be around those people every day. And even like what you're talking about, if we looked at success on a happiness metric instead of how we measure it in this country, which is typically maximize profit, why would it be weird to have roommates that you enjoy spending your time with? But we get weird about that with people that like, oh, you have roommates and you're 30. Or especially 40. Like if, us 2 don't have kids, don't plan on having kids, and if there was another couple that we love spending time with, why would that be weird to share a home, right? Especially then we could group together income, and I think it creates a happier community in a lot of ways.
I agree.
No fucking way we look at it like that.
Yeah, I think there's a mentality of doing it on your own, like, and like proving that you can do it on your own.
Yeah, some independence that we've also like dragged down to solitude as well, though.
Yeah.
And again, community being this biggest thing that I've really thought about for the last couple years and really focused on. I mean, hell, that's what this place has become.
Yeah, and you guys done a damn good job at it.
We didn't fucking build it with any of this intention, and that was the thing.
Yeah, that's the craziest
so
part.
Cool though.
And man, what abundance just opening the doors for free to this place has created. I'll never make it something other than that. If that's a way that I can carry any of that spirit forward, I want to. Do you have any intentions going in this year?
For Burning Man?
Yeah.
No. I think my intentions were honestly so simple. Like, they weren't like extravagant. Like, I didn't, it was just to see friends that I haven't seen in a while that I used to live with, like overseas. And then also just seeing the beautiful art that these like humans made, and put time and effort into, and just being in awe of them. And that's all I wanted. And I didn't get any of it.
You
gotta
taste
so
bad.
Yeah, I know.
Just
It's like,
taste.
it's so funny how like I can, if I dwell on it, and it's so easy to, right? To focus on the negative part of me going in only on the weekend, because that's what I could, like time wise and work and stuff, I could compromise in going and making it worth it. And then all of a sudden, like one night, next night, bam, rain, done. You're like, my Burning Man was just went down to one evening basically, but also just extended beyond that, just not what I expected.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So that's why this time just taught me something different about myself, that how capable and resilient I was to manage my expectation. Like as soon as it was happening, I understood it wasn't like what I had in mind, what was gonna happen, the intention I had was gone. And I just had to accept it. And then by the end of it, I just had to laugh. Honestly, It was just like taking each corner, each turn with some grace and humor and just like letting it go and just like relishing in the fact that we made it out alive, that we still went through a good burn, that we learned something from it. Like even, like as we were leaving, they were deciding what to do with us before the burner bus. A butterfly straight up just like came across my path, and I was like, where the fuck did this butterfly come from? Because everybody knows like there's not like any living wildlife. Like there was some insects here and there, but like that was the first time I ever saw a butterfly. And I was like, I screamed it. Like I was, and like, we're getting on the bus, we're leaving. Yeah, and at that point they didn't decide anything yet. And then it was just funny because I was just like, I see, that's the universe for you. Like whatever we're connected with or how whatever is happening in this really beautiful grand design, it's for us.
I love what you said about grace and humor. Like those are the perfect words for everything that happened after it started raining, right? Like that's the mindset you want to be in, just taking everything in stride, knowing that whatever you expected or had planned, it doesn't matter anymore. Like it gives you what you need, not what you want.
Yes, exactly.
And whatever it is exactly how it was supposed to be. Right. Like I definitely had like that like little hint of disappointment as well, right? Because it rained on my birthday and I wanted to like go hard that night because it was my birthday and all these things, and I'm like, but you know what? This is a really fucking memorable birthday too, because now I'm sitting in the RV the trailer with our campmates having like a cake that they brought in for me. They're singing happy birthday to me in the rain. Like just it was great, right? It was perfect. And I tried to go into this year with zero expectations because I don't know what the fuck I'm getting into. I think I know, but I didn't know, right? And that's what everyone tells you. But you're like,
even banking on heat and dust wasn't right.
Right. Even we couldn't even get the weather correct. So I'm proud that I went in with as little expectations as I did. Like I just want to experience it. I just want to be a part of it. I just want to have a good time. And I think all those boxes are going to be checked. And the rain added an interesting element. But yeah, I love what you said about grace and humor and being able to accept it for what it is and not worry about what it isn't and being able to laugh about it along the way.
Yeah. Intention going in, I think what we talked about on the way there was like just being willing to let go of what doesn't serve me anymore, right? Like the whole burn the man in effigy, right? And, what I ended up getting, right, is this. One of the things I preach and one of the things I really believe in is that we're shaped through discomfort. And it's our discomfort that creates adaptation. It's discomfort that shows the abundance. It's discomfort of, I chose this discomfort.
Yes.
Right? And it provided, right? It provided that. And like, this was that opportunity of the universe saying like, I know that's who you say you want to be, but can you be that?
And that's,
and there's moments of it, right? Like that's how you unlock the next level of it. And so now like being able to like, oh, I'm good in that environment. Like my ability to stomach other discomfort is higher now. I have trust in myself. I have more confidence. And it came from that wonderful experience of getting to connect with new people that, I mean, one of the loveliest things at our camp is we didn't know any of them very well. And even cooler, they don't know anything about us. And that's fun.
That is fun.
Man, that's kind of been an interesting thing we've talked about a bit, right? Like that people that don't know anything about you. Because even we had talked about, and we haven't done it yet, but we're planning a date night where the idea of it is we'll arrive separately as if it's a first date. And so like you've got to explain who you are.
Oh, I love that.
To me.
And especially when you know each other already, too.
I know what I think you are, but I want to hear how you think you are at this point in your life because I only know you for 5 years. Right. Right? And same, that way, like, would I go into a second date? And how you meet yourself. I just think it's a really fun experience. And that's what a lot of this was just getting a chance to drop a bunch of the mask and a bunch of the ideas of what you think you are and any of that and be around new people.
Yeah, and like what you just said kind of gave me like just something that dropped in was like how many people probably have the perception of who they are of other people's perception about them. So that's who they think, that's how they describe themselves. But in reality, is that their own perception?
Right.
That's,
you know?
It's Jay Shetty talks about it. It's not like you're not who you think you are. You are who you think other people think you are.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Nails
then I
it.
think that's whenever it becomes hard to understand your authentic self because we get that thrown around so much. It's like, be your authentic self.
but think
And then
about
it's
how
like, what
that
does
multiplies
mean?
if everyone's operating that way. That means no one's actually them. And everyone's
exactly
focus
it.
is trying to appease someone else who's doing their whole focus is trying to appease someone else. So like they're not even noticing the fucking effort you're putting in because they're doing the same goddamn thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
It's so much easier to just realize, especially like again, that freedom of Burning Man, that like no one fucking cares, man, about your thing. Like whatever that insecurity is,
yeah.
you're the only one who fucking knows it and punishing yourself for it. No one else
Yep.
gives a shit. So sort it out.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go back. Like full plans. Like
Same.
I have a year worth of shit to do. Essentially. I have vehicles to figure out. I have a van to build
Yep.
and then be ready.
Can we actually like do it together? Like, in the
Yeah,
weekend?
let's
Like,
do it
then
together. That way
like,
we
let's do it
actually
together and we
see
actually
you.
be together. There's
yeah.
like literally I knew because Friday was your birthday. I knew.
Yeah.
So I was like had plans. I was like, okay, that
Find
afternoon
'em.
I'm gonna go find him. I was like, I'm gonna go look for him and we're gonna hang out. Like
Yeah.
I had this whole plan in my head at least like that I was gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so down.
Yeah.
The group we were with was great, and yeah, I want to build.
There's
out
so many
our
things
van
I
for
want to
next
like
year.
do. Like, I have just as many ideas too. I'm like, oh, I can do like one of those little like coolers that have like the little like
Oh, the engine on it?
engines on them.
I'd
And
ride
you
it.
can like build. Well, I saw somebody in a cupcake. They
Oh,
like
so you can
they
make
like
that like a
build,
mini art
like
car.
a mini.
That's cool.
I know it was
That's
really
dope.
cute. I saw
That's dope.
someone else doing it, and I was like, oh my god,
Oh
that's
my
a great
God, I could turn
idea.
the e-bike into like a mini art
That's what
thing.
I mean. Yeah.
Well, we've got
so
flying
many.
saucer.
Yeah. Yep.
50
Oh my
weeks
gosh.
to figure it
Yeah.
out.
We got
Shit.
so many ideas. Yeah.
10 out of 10
love it.
on Burning Man 2023.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah,
if you
totally.
don't get it, and it is to you a bunch of rich kids in the desert fucking off doing drugs who get what they deserve, awesome. Don't go.
Yeah.
More than welcome not to go. I appreciate you not being there.
I feel like if you're there, you wouldn't be saying
Of
rich
cour-
kid.
But that's,
you know what I mean?
that's
Of
no
course.
one there.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Like the amount of, I mean, that's something to harp on, right? Like the media coverage is fucking crazy.
Wow.
The amount of
wow. Yeah.
Stranded
so much.
FEMA's there. They're starving.
I think it was
heard
Ebola.
Cannibalism
I think I heard
and
Ebola. Yeah.
None
That
true.
just shows like
Yeah.
how
None
much
of it's
gets
true.
blown out of proportion.
Which
and
means-
isn't real.
Every single event that we've seen on the news for the last couple years needs to be taken as that blown out of proportion.
Yep.
Yeah, my
I
dad
agree.
texted me. I'm like, what are you doing still watching the news? Like, you know better.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
you know this by now.
Do you say they ever lie to you? If that answer is yes, then that means they're fucking
Right.
liars.
Yeah.
They can't be trusted.
Coming back to service was gnarly. I had like a wave of wonderful, sweet birthday messages and then a wave of,
Are you alive?
oh my God, did you guys get out okay? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, our experience was not challenging at all. Like, obviously we can't speak for
Challenging
everyone.
since- yeah, in different ways too.
Yeah,
right?
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
ever
Yeah.
unsafe.
It wasn't
Yeah.
ever unsafe. I never felt like, oh my God, we're going to be stuck here forever. This, like.
There was never danger.
Also,
Yeah.
we left on the same day we were planning on leaving.
anyway.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it
Same.
didn't change
I did
any.
too, just different time.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Didn't change any travel plans for us, but
Luckily, yeah, same.
I obviously appreciate everyone checking in. But
Sure, of course.
Yeah,
it was,
of course.
it was
Yes.
not
Yes,
not what it was
totally.
made out to be.
I just
Yeah.
find it very telling to be on that side of an event where like I really haven't been on a thing that
I
media
agree.
got a big terrible media
Yeah.
coverage of it's the worst experience ever and
Yeah.
everyone's dying.
And if we
Yeah.
did see something like that, and we had friends that were at said event, we'd probably be sending a message to make sure. You know,
Yeah,
what I mean?
most
Like,
likely,
That's
right?
true.
It's
yeah.
just being, you see
Being a good
something and you're
friend.
like, oh shit,
All good.
Matt, Bonnie,
Yeah.
and Luna are there. Like, oh, I'm going to make sure that my friends are still alive.
Yeah.
Sure,
I
get it. But yeah, it is a
coverage
pretty
of it.
pretty evident, what the media will do to these things. So
But it's pretty cool that now it's gone down in history. Like this is like
it was a hell of a year to attend for the first time.
Yeah.
So do you think all of that negative media coverage makes it more people trying to get in next year or less?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know. I really don't.
I don't know that it changes anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're already at capacity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't think this damages Burning Man,
because
especially not in the crowd that gives a shit.
But like,
and everyone that was there this year knows the truth. You know, I mean, the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have anyone that was there this year saying, I'm not coming back next year.
Yeah. And like, even the people that didn't come this year because last year weather was so rough with the dust and like the heat, that's not, they just needed a break. Right. So like, yeah, I think next year might be harder just because everyone's gonna want to come back, kind of thing, to have redemption and like, some sense, and then the people that didn't get to go this year,
I'm excited because I know
somewhat
next year will be
FOMO,
different.
you know, yeah,
And that's enough for me.
yeah.
Well, I imagine that's any year.
Yeah,
right. Like
every year is gonna be everything.
Every
yeah.
experience
Yep.
is going to be its own
yeah.
unique ceremony, if you will, just like plant medicine or breathwork, anything like
Yes.
that is
Agreed.
that is pushing you out of a comfort zone and challenges you to not have any expectations. Like everything is going to be different.
And, you know, for those who, again, don't know, right, like the environmental side of this, right? Like gray water doesn't get on the playa. Like it's so well taken care of, right? That there's no sign of this before people show up. And then after it's all torn down and gone, like people walk hand in hand across the whole thing and pick up everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
I think this was the year that is going to be harder. Just
That's my thought. Stuff got buried.
Yes, exactly. Just stuff got buried, and like I'm hoping, like I don't know what Burning Man's going to do, like the organization, but I'm kind of hoping they send a cleaning crew, honestly, like or something.
Something will be done for sure because they're so conscious of that.
Yeah.
No way they'll leave anything behind.
So
Very, very cool.
It's neat being out there, man, and not seeing trash and seeing people. Just all of it.
Have you guys seen this pictures surfacing up with like the rainbows, the double rainbows, and like
the double rainbow.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Like just the aerial view.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah, when that popped up, like everyone's outside.
That was on your birthday.
Outside, cheering, and it like just felt like, oh, we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, morale. Yeah, just went
big
up.
morale boost in that
super
moment.
Big,
Also incredible to hear the entire camp about the same time go like double rainbow all the way across the sky. Like what a perfect place for people to yell that line.
It.
Just a fucking bunch of hippie burners.
I hope that dude's
way
there.
too pumped.
Yeah.
I hope that dude's there.
Oh man, he probably
Double
was.
rainbow guy,
Wouldn't be
thinking about you.
surprised.
Aw.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right. I think we've covered it.
Yeah.
Any other things we missed?
I don't think
so.
No, I feel like
I feel
that's
like,
pretty comprehensive.
It's fucking awesome. If you're curious, I recommend getting your shit together and go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's not for you. That's pretty simple.
That's pretty simple. Yeah.
If you like having a good time at all, you'll probably enjoy it.
You like camping and fun?
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for coming in and chatting.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
This has
So
been
good.
so good just to like talk about it.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to see you there, so
Yeah, that's so true.
we had to have a final wrap and
Yeah, and I
hear
think
your
it-
side of everything.
You know, the fun part of like podcasting and having this medium is it really reinforces an experience because you get to then speak it again and put power to it and not just remember it.
Yes, and realizing that, I think halfway through when we were talking, I realized how big my smile was the whole time. I was just like remembering everything. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys can't see me, but I'm just smiling this entire time. Like,
Well, they
cheek
can
to
see
cheek.
you. That's what the cameras are
Oh,
for.
that's right.
Yeah, you are on
see
camera.
We have
me.
technology.
I forgot about that.
Moving pictures.
The audience
Forgot
will
that
see.
was happening. Oh yeah, you
That's it.
can't see me. Okay.
Can people find you anywhere online if they want to?
Yeah.
Or do you want them to?
That's a good point. Do I want you to?
That's worth asking.
Yeah. I mean, it's out there. At the real Linda Hong, even though you call me Luna.
You're the one who told me that's your name.
This
Are
is
you
true.
going to update your
You know,
social media?
that's a whole nother conversation.
Are you still
I've been
Luna?
I'm still Luna.
Okay.
But that's still another conversation I'm having within my own self, was like actually changing my handle. But it's so hard because I'm just like, I don't know. And
You know
I'm
what's a
just-
weird
and I'm
part
not-
after you do?
It's not a big deal. And no, exactly.
changes.
But I think that's the thing is it doesn't matter, but I'm holding on to that part of me because it's still part of me.
Sure.
I still like people
But
calling
like
me
when the
both.
moment is
Yeah.
right, if it ever comes,
That's how you feel.
you'll know.
That's exactly why I'm not rushed to do
Doesn't-
it, and I didn't want to do it
No.
on just impulse.
Yeah.
So
On no one's
leaving
timeline.
it, yeah. Everybody knows I go by both. That's
Yeah.
it's all good.
You know, especially, you know, as much as we're online, I changed mine from what it had been for years to
Yeah.
what it is now.
There you go.
And
yeah.
there's that weird feeling. And it's
Yes.
that same weird feeling, right? Of, what's the other side of that?
Yes.
And then I did it, and I was like, oh, yeah, no one gives a shit.
Yeah. I think it's also knowing it's like the closure of like something too. It's like the end of something, the end
Yeah.
of an era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little death of an identity.
Yeah. Yeah. A bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Just carry the parts you like.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you.
Hanging
And
out.
Thank you, my love.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you at another time.